Hi, my name's Janette Oakman and I'm a psychic artist and a medium. And today I'd like to talk to you about clairaudience. Now, clairaudience is a French word which basically just means clear hearing. I believe that there's a lot of confusion when it comes to clairaudience, so this is why thought I'd talk about that today. Now, when a medium is working, there's a lot of misconception from people who aren't mediums that when we're hearing a spirit person talking to us, that we will actually hear them in the same way as we would a living person standing next to us who's talking to us. So basically outside of the head. Now, this does happen in mediumship. I'm not saying it doesn't, but it's a lot rarer form of hearing spirit. The majority of clairaudience will actually take place inside the head, and this is why we call it mental mediumship. It takes place within the mind. Now, so for a developing medium, this can be very, very confusing. You know, I've heard many students who may have said, oh, you know, I can see someone, but they're not saying anything, you know, or oh, no, they've got no message. There's been quite a few different things that have been said. So let's start talking about our thought voice. So if I could ask you all to do an experiment for me, please. I would like you to imagine your mum or dad, it doesn't matter who, it could be a friend. Just imagine someone you know saying something inside your head. So for example, it could be your mum saying, put the kettle on, Boris. Have you done that? Now if you did do that, you just said a sentence, any old sentence inside your head, that's like your thought voice. And that is how most mediums will actually hear spirit. So for example, in my own case, when I hear spirit talking to me, I will hear it in my own thoughts. Quite often it will be, I might hear a name being called. I haven't been thinking about that name. So where has it come from? Well, it's come from spirit. There could be example where I might actually have a little bit clearer audience at the same time as having been shown an image, which is actually using clairvoyance. So for example, earlier on in the video that I spoke about clairsentience, I said that I'd actually felt the calendar and the month, but you know, saw the calendar. Now, this can happen the same way. You know, it could be that with your clairvoyance you're actually being shown a calendar or a person, but in your head you hear something else. You might hear a number, or you might hear a name, or you might just hear one word, or you might hear a song. Music is used by spirit a lot, trust me. The amount of times that I will actually hear music being sung to me. There was one particular song, and one of my nieces will vouch for this, and I'll be in the middle of doing something, and for no reason whatsoever I'll suddenly burst into song. I could be so good for you, love me like you want me to. And you think, why do I keep singing that? And then it took me a while, a bit slow sometimes, to realise what it was. And that was actually a call inside of one of my guides. And his way of actually letting me know he was there was actually to give me that song inside my head, and I'd suddenly be singing it. But also as well, you know, there's a lot of mediums working around the world, and they'll quite often give you a song that they've heard from spirit. So how often have you actually been sitting there doing nothing and you suddenly get a song come into your head, and it might have, for example, it might be your mum's favourite song or something. You know, it's absolutely wonderful when you get this. But it's in your head, okay? Now, there's different ways of hearing inside your head, and if your mediumship is anything like mine, then sometimes I'll hear it in what I call my own thought voice, but sometimes I might hear it, but I might hear it with a bit more of an accent to it. And a classic example for me when I'm actually physically working, doing mediumship, is they'll say a word and I haven't got a clue as to what that word means. And because you're in an altered state, because you're working with your mediumship, I always say, you can't tap into your own dictionary and have a look to see what that word means, but I'm pretty certain I don't know what that word means anyway. And I'll actually ask the audience or the person I'm doing a private reading for, sorry, but I don't know what that word means. Do you know what it means? And they will say yes, and it's usually very appropriate, that word. So to me, that, for me, myself, for my own personal journey, that is lovely evidence for me as well as for the person. But also as well, sometimes when I'm hearing something being said to me inside my head, I feel like they're talking with a different accent to me. I can't hear a different accent, but the clairsentience and everything else comes in as well, and I just feel very much so that they talk with a different accent to me, but I haven't heard that. I've actually heard it in a way where I can actually understand what's being said. There are so many different ways. Some people will actually hear the spirit person's voice inside their head. How many times have you said, "God blimey," or some other expression, and say, "Oh my gosh, I sounded just like my mother then," "Oh, I sounded like Dad," or some other thing so and so would have said. I actually think a lot of time when that actually happens, that actually is that person who is actually speaking to you, because you feel so much like them as you're saying it, which is clairsentience coming in with the clairaudience. There's not many times when a medium will work where they will only use one of the clairs, your clairaudience, which is hearing, clairseeing, clairvoyance, which is seeing, clairsentience, but using your body and your sensing. There's not many times when you would actually use just one of them things. Most messages and just one sentence from a medium, could be using all three of them things. So it's not always clear cut and very obvious, even to the medium when they're working, as to which one they're actually using. The important thing is that our spirit team know how to get that information to us so that we can then pass it on to the person who the spirit person would like to communicate with. Okay? So that's just a very, very basic example. Another thing that I've noticed with myself is that I will actually hear one word. So for example, I might hear the word hammer being said to me, but I will understand from hearing the word hammer that someone needs to hammer something. Okay? I might hear in my head, trying to think of an example, I might hear someone start to say just a couple of words. Brain has gone, I'll explain why in a minute. You might start to hear remote control car, okay? But just because you've heard remote control car, that that was a special memory. That's very, very important evidence, and that's why it had to be given to me in that way. But also as well, then with clair knowing, which is not an official clair, it should be, because I do believe in clair knowing quite a lot, where you just know something, you don't actually understand why. Probably probably very much mixed up with your clairsentience, that somebody actually had a remote control car, but it had to keep going back to the shop because it was broken, and 3 times they went backwards and forwards. I just know that information, okay? But I was given all that information just by hearing remote control car. Or I might hear the beginning of a word and then I just know what the end of that word is. So, I said I was going to explain. You see how my mind kept going blank then? I think it's because someone with Alzheimer's around me, because when that happens, I struggle to hear, to see. I just struggle mentally. So if ever you get up and you stand there and suddenly it's like the world's gone blank and you can't call on any of your memories, you can't hear anything, you're not seeing anything, and you're feeling a little bit confused, and it's probably because you've got someone who's confused around you, okay? So sometimes also when I start to talk, that will come out as well. That's clairsentience. But anyway, thank you for listening. I hope you've found this video helpful. I haven't gone greatly into it all. Didn't feel there was need. I just wanted to give you a little snapshot of what clairaudience was. I really hope that you found it helpful in some way, and a little bit of the confusion's gone away. So if you enjoyed this video, and you feel like you'd like to hear more, because I've got many more videos as well, hit the subscribe button so that you'll know when the other ones are being published. But also as well, check out my channel. I've got about 47 videos on there now, all different, to do with psychic art, but also guided meditations as well. But also there is, as you can tell, I'm also doing a series on mediumship as well for people who are developing. So also you can find me on Facebook. Just type in Janette Oakman, or you can go to my website, janetteoakman.com. I'd love to hear from you, get some feedback from you. Thank you very much for listening.